Begin. I want to welcome everybody to our second day of our regional community meeting. I see some folks on the call who joined yesterday as well. Thank you for coming back for our second day. My name is John MacMullen. I'm the Executive Director of the Midwest Big Data Innovation Hub. Right. So for those who are less familiar with the Midwest Hub, we are part of a national network of regional big data innovation hubs that the National Science Foundation began many years ago at this point with the goal to focus on community coordination and outreach around data science and data-related challenges in the different regions across the country. And so we are part of that national network, and we'll hear from folks from other hub organizations and regions today. But if you are joining today from another geographic region outside the Midwest or watching the video later, we encourage you to reach out to the hub that is in your region to see what opportunities they may have that could align with your interests and your goals for data science. So for this session that we're starting now, I'm very happy to be joined by representatives from the other three hubs to talk about some of the national scale activities that we all partner on and other opportunities within their regions that may be of interest to this audience. So today we have Shannon McKeen from the South Big Data Hub. He is based at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. We have Renata Rawlings-Goss also from the South Hub. She's the Executive Director based out of Georgia Tech. Sarah Stone from the West Hub, based out of the University of Washington E-Science Center. And Lauren Close from the Northeast Hub, based out of Columbia University. Welcome to you all. Thank you all for being here. This is a very close-knit network that meets weekly to coordinate activities, and so I'm glad to have you all here to share the work that we do as a team with our local community. All right, so I'll turn it over next to Shannon McKeen to get us started talking about one of the working groups that we have.
Thank you, John. It's always a pleasure to participate in any cross-hub activities. As John mentioned, I am the Deputy Director for the South Big Data Hub, located at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and the Renaissance Computing Institute. And I'm here today to talk about the Data Sharing and Cyberinfrastructure Working Group, which originated back in the day in the South Hub, but we've been fortunate to expand it to all four hubs. Like I said, we got 140 members. It's across all four hubs. It meets the first Friday of every month. So the next meeting would be not tomorrow, but next Friday. I think that must be the 4th or 5th of November. We have a chair and 3 co-chairs for each of the four hubs. Niall Gaffney from TAC at the University of Texas is our chair. Christine Kirkpatrick, who's at the San Diego Supercomputing Center, is a co-chair representing the West Hub. John Goodhue from the Massachusetts Green High Performance Computing Center represents the Northeast, and James Willenbush from the Minnesota Supercomputing Institute represents the Midwest Hub. The goals of the working group are basically to grow the data sharing and cyber infrastructure community. The attempt in these meetings is to share research and do demos of different cyber infrastructure and big data innovations that can bring the national community together in catalyzing the people infrastructure and initiatives that are represented by all the members of the working group. The second goal is to help identify any gaps in cyber infrastructure capabilities and data sources to foster further improvement to the national data research infrastructure, content, and capabilities. And finally, recruiting and educating new communities, service providers, and data resources to expand the national data research infrastructure. You can find more information about the working group at the South Hub, and I'm going to put into the chat a link that will take you to, maybe John already put it in there, but let's make sure to see which one it is. take you to our priority page, and it'll give you an example of some of the projects that are underway across the 4 hubs in this space. Perhaps our biggest output for the working group is a YouTube channel where we share all past presentations. And this list of 14 is just a random collection of some of the demos and presentations that have taken place in the past. It's a really good resource to check out what might be happening in the data sharing and cyber infrastructure space. There are some tags, so you can actually go through the playlist and see topics that might be of interest to you. I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat as well that YouTube playlist, so you yourself can go check it out. I think that right now the top of the list is a panel discussion that we had most recently where we talked about cybersecurity, or they talked about cybersecurity in the context of data sharing and cyber infrastructure. As far as what's ahead, we are having a workshop at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in the early December, where we will, researchers from Clemson and from other PIs on a research project looking at using the cloud for science discovery and data analysis. There'll be a demo, and there's no prerequisite. You don't have to have an understanding of any cloud platforms. It's agnostic to the different cloud platforms. What Alex Feltus, who is the PI on the grant from Clemson, what he'll be talking about is hopefully bringing together research scientists and research computing professionals from different organizations to share the opportunities as well as some of the hurdles that come from doing scientific data analysis in the cloud. What I'm going to do is the final link I'm going to put in the chat is a link to the agenda for that workshop. And what I'll probably do is, while anyone is putting questions in the chat, I will go ahead and share that screen so you can see the agenda for that event. Hopefully people are seeing that screen. John, can you give me a thumbs up if I'm seeing the right screen? Okay, I got a nod. Okay. So it's 2 days. It'll be at the university, near the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. There's a registration link that you can find on that GitHub URL that I put in the chat. And it'll be some breakouts, some panel discussions, and we're quite excited about it. This fits into the goal of the working group to kind of evangelize cyber infrastructure and make sure that different researchers and organizations across the 4 hubs are collaborating, whether it's within a specific research community. HydroShare is an example from the water resources community that one of our presentations in a past meeting was looking at this tool that Kawasi uses for all the researchers that are in the water resources space, and we're looking for other communities that we can help. So that's kind of the extent of my overview, but I'm open for questions or anything else that comes up about the data sharing and cyber infrastructure group. Hopefully I did that on the time within the time that John gave me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much, Shannon. And folks, feel free to put questions in the chat for Shannon as we go along here. We're going to switch now to Renata Rawlings-Goss from Georgia Tech, who's the executive director of the South Big Data Hub, to talk about some of the other work that is happening through that hub in partnership with others.
All right. Hi, everyone. So you heard about one of our working groups. I'm going to talk about one of the other working groups that began in the South Hub. I'm Renata Rawlings-Goss. I'm the executive director of the South Big Data Innovation Hub. We have 2 locations. One is where Shannon is, and I'm at Georgia Tech. And so the second working group that I wanted to discuss was this national working group around data science education and workforce. So this is also a monthly working group. We also have over 100 members, close to 140 members in this group. And it's made up of program leaders who are running data science programs or interested in growing their data science program or interested in starting one on their campuses. And so we meet and we have presentations around models of what people are doing. The primary goals are threefold. We highlight current programs and what they are working on, also as programs that are doing project-based teaching. So we're focused on project-based teaching as a major component of data science education and also a connection to workforce. We have industry that presents on their workforce needs and solutions, as well as highlighting assessment. So right now we have, these are this is just an example of one of the talks that was given from Baylor University. And we record these and put them on a playlist at the South Hub YouTube channel. So you can get, from the South Hub YouTube channel, you can get the education workforce playlist as well as the Cyberinfrastructure. And they're from universities all over the country. So this is in collaboration with all of the regions and being able to get a consistent community in this space. So this year we've launched actually 2 sub-working groups that come through the main education working group that have been born out of topics that are topical to the area, as well as these are faculty led from the different program leaders. So the 2 groups that I talk about is project-based teaching and learning, as well as looking at program evaluation for data science programs. So if you want to join the working group, the main working group, you can go to this bit.ly/data education working group, and you can directly sign up and you'll get emails to join. Also, you can see the past speakers and the YouTube channel as well from the South Hub website. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the 2 sub-working groups if you were interested in those as they are starting. And so you really have an opportunity for impact. This is the project-based teaching one. This is Uma, who is at UNC Central University. She is the chair, and this is the original group, but it's actually grown since our last all hands meeting. And so they're really the chairs that are looking at project-based teaching, particularly looking at curating project-based teaching and learning materials for data science. So if you're interested in joining the groups, you can join, but also there'll be outputs from these groups that we'll share through our networks. And so here are the potential outputs. They want to do a getting started guide, resources to convert data science curriculum, mapping competencies from the ACM guidelines, and reference links, and also modules and landing pages for data science projects and sharing. So the November meeting, we also meet first Fridays of every month for the main working group. But so November 5th is the next meeting. But in December, the December first Friday, we'll have report outs from both of the working groups at their mid-year progress. So mid-year is December, and then next September is the full year. So you have another full year to join. So if you're interested in this working group, you can reach out directly to UMA, and they can get you on their calls, which they have at a different time frame. If you have questions. So this is the program assessment working group. These are the people that are joined in it now that are the chairs. And they're looking at assessment and process to evaluate undergraduate level data science programs and how to evaluate some of the outcomes for students that we're seeing that we're looking for and which programs what things that programs have in common. So they're developing a process for outlining soft skills or these undergraduate data science programs first, since that's something that is under standardized in some ways around data science, and looking at storytelling, narrative, how to do code review, metrics of evaluation for these skills, and how they can move forward. So if you're interested in joining this group, they also have a different cadence of meetings, and it's run by Carl Schmidt, which his email and contact information is here. So if you I would just invite people to join, to sign up for the mailing list. I can put those things in the chat if you're interested in being a member of the education working group. We'd love to have you. And if you're interested in joining any of the subgroups or just hearing about the outputs that happen in December. All right. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Renata. That is a very valued group here in the Midwest. We have a number of participants who join those calls, and so we're very happy to be a partner on that activity. All right, we are going to go next to Sarah Stone from the University of Washington to talk about some other data science education activities that are being led out of the West Hub. Hi, Sarah.
Great, thank you, John. Let me just share my slides. Is that showing up for you guys?
Yes.
Great, okay. Well, thank you, John, for inviting us to share opportunities for engagement that originate in the West Hub but are available to the nationwide Hub community. As John mentioned, my name is Sarah Stone, and I'm a co-PI for the West Hub, and I sit at the University of Washington eScience Institute. Let's see. Let me just arrange my screens here. Sorry about that. So as you've seen from the previous presentations, the big data hubs really have a multifaceted approach to data science training, and we all do a variety of different, very complementary activities. And one of the programs that are available across many of the hubs is an ongoing partnership with the Carpentries. The Carpentries is an international organization that's really focused on teaching kind of the foundational coding and data science skills to researchers. And so by leveraging what Carpentries has built as a kind of train the trainer model, in the West, we've supported the certification of Carpentries instructors distributed across 9 states and often working in collaboration with the other hubs to accommodate interest. And also to accommodate kind of groups of people that may stretch across our regional boundaries, but actually be geographically very close together. These instructors generally attend as a cohort and then are equipped to return home and offer their own workshops in their region or at their organization, as well as becoming part of a community of over 1,400 volunteer instructors that are part of the Carpentries. We've recently had a lot of success, I guess, probably like most people, of running these as remote training programs. You see here a previous instructor training cohort when we were able to do these in person at the eScience Institute. And we've also previously developed curriculum that was sort of modified from the Carpentries for the Southern California Tribal Digital Village on the Palo Reservation. And we're also in conversation with AHEC about how to offer these types of trainings to their community. So I guess while the Carpentries instructor trainings have included public sector employees, we open these to academics, of course, and also to partners in the government, nonprofit sectors. We're also aware that the standard Carpentries curriculum was really created with academic researchers in mind. And so, and that the current public sector workforce often has divergent and kind of often distinct needs. So we've been working to create a training program specifically aimed at current government and nonprofit workers. We're leveraging the Carpentries' existing open infrastructure and distribution platform to create a novel open access education kind of module that will then be available to anybody who'd like to use this, much in the way other Carpentries modules are available to the broad community. And so you'll see here the folks that are leading the creation of that curriculum. And we're excited to be partnering with one of the West Hub Spoke projects at Cal State LA to work with their collaborators at the nonprofit community partners to pilot this curriculum. We would love to hear from other communities and other groups that would be interested to pilot this curriculum with us as we're kind of testing it out and seeing how it works. So if this is of interest to you or to partners that you have, please reach out to me. We're also increasingly aware that university professors are being called upon to teach data science to their students, often with little prior experience or pedagogical training for how to teach kind of hands-on keyboard skills. To address this need, we've partnered with the NSF Hispanic Serving Institutions STEMHub for a series of activities, including 2 previous workshops. You see the picture from one of those here. And an upcoming workshop that will take place in January of next year and is open to all HSI faculty and also collaborators of HSI faculty. And this workshop really goes beyond the carpentries format to cover topics like how to integrate data science modules into existing classes, teaching data science ethics, cloud computing for the classroom, and also we do a lot of networking and community building activities to support the participants and doing some shared grant writing to help support their educational curricular development. So please take a look at that. That'll go out on the HSI STEMHub website as well as through the hubs. Shifting gears just a little bit, I wanted to talk about our data science for social good activities. As data science as a field has matured, I'm sure we all see both the potential impact or the potential for positive impact. We also, of course, know of the many ill uses of data science. With this in mind, we think it's really important to create programs to support students in learning how to ethically use data science for social impact. In this vein, the University of Washington has been running a data science for social good program in collaboration with the West Hub every summer since 2015. I bring this to your attention because we actually solicit projects from across the country, from academics, nonprofits, government, and industry. And we've run this program remotely for the last 2 years, and we intend to do it in a hybrid fashion this year. So there's the opportunity, if you have a project in mind, to work with this program. Also, we accept student fellows from across the country. And over the past 7 years, we've been able to support more than 80 student fellows representing fellows from all of the regional hubs. One of the things that we really emphasize in this program is intentionally creating disciplinarily diverse teams and with a real focus on ethical data science and building stakeholder relationships. Lastly, I just wanted to note that by running that Data Science for Social Good program, we got very interested in supporting a national network of people who run similar programs. And so we've created a Data for Good organizers network where we're kind of defining Data for Good programs, at least in this space, as university-based programs that are focused in projects, are driven by projects and teams with the dual challenges of educating students and also intending a positive social impact, where stakeholders are deeply integrated and you're using data science techniques. Within this community of practice, we've done a lot of sharing of lessons learned. And through that process, we've actually created a roadmap that will be released next week to help other organizations who are interested in developing data for good programs. This is a really, really exciting and really come out of the conversations that we've been having over the last year with this community. Also, based on that roadmap, we'll be running a workshop that will take place over 4 weeks with kind of 2 hours each week, starting in January. And we would love to, anybody who's out there in the audience who's interested in starting a similar program or would just like to learn more about how to run these programs and to think about what this could look like at your home organization, really encourage you to apply to be part of that workshop. And I'll be sharing those links out with John for him to share with the Midwest community. And with that, I'll just say thank you. Thanks for the time today, John. And I hope I didn't go over.
Oh, that was perfect. Thank you so much for giving us some insights into those activities. We'll look for that position paper to come out, and we'll share that with our community along with the links to the other activities. I did put a note in the chat that those who are interested in data science education and carpentries in particular, we do have a session coming up at the top of the hour with some of our seed-funded projects that relate to those topics as well. And we do have a panel later today in the afternoon on data science for social good and smart and resilient communities topics as well. So if you have interest in those areas, feel free to stick around this afternoon. But now we're going to shift to Lauren Close from the Northeast Hub to tell us about some of the collaborative projects that we're partnering with across the hubs there.
Yeah, thank you, John. So my name is Lauren Close. I'm the Operations and Communications Manager at the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub. And today I'm going to walk you through just a brief intro to two of the Northeast Hub's main projects, the National Student Data Core and the COVID Information Commons. So like our sister hubs, our mission at the Northeast Hub is to build and strengthen partnerships across industry, academia, nonprofits, and government with data science. So we may be geographically centered in the Northeast, but the reach of these two programs are national and even global. So we definitely encourage you to engage with our programming, even if you're technically outside of our region. And just to note that I'll make sure to provide all of the relevant links to this programming in the chat as we go along. But let me start with the NSCC. The National Student Data Core is a community initiative that provides students with data science resources and opportunities with a particular focus on underserved students. We work with people of all ages and backgrounds, from K-12 to graduate students, college and high school educators, and adult learners. We actually recently rebranded from the Northeast Student Data Core to the National Student Data Core, as it became clear that our community is much more widespread. Right now, we're made up of over 1,700 members who come to us from 278 different institutions, representing the US and 7 other countries. We have 3 leadership teams who help develop the NSDC as our founding committee members. We have 24 members from industry, nonprofits, and academia, plus our fantastic graduate students. And the committee members create and design educational content for the NSDC. They build curriculum that leverages free materials we provide. They mentor our students remotely, support collaborations with outside groups, and we really couldn't do what we do without their variety of industry insights and perspectives. So what are some features of the NSDC and what do we do? There are a couple ways you can use the NSDC. First, we have Learner Central, where you can find resources that cover data science fundamentals. This content is organized by difficulty levels, so students can start with the basics or jump far ahead into ethics, practical applications. They can learn Python and R. Similarly, we have Educator Central, which is specifically for teachers at all levels to find a range of materials and develop the data science curricula in their classrooms. We've included here videos, presentations, lecture notes, and code examples from places like IBM, UC Berkeley, Columbia, MIT, and CUNY. And our third asset is the video library. This is a great resource for learners and educators alike. We house here videos on data science topics as created by our really fantastic NSCC volunteers. The volunteers include master's students who walk the audience through specific educational content, like adding their insights on difficult concepts or skills. It's really our effort to humanize and put a face to really difficult data science ideas. And I'd like to also just talk a bit about our career and chapter programs within the NSDC, because our focus isn't just on teaching technical skills. We're also working to provide a broad community for our members. A new program that we're actually expanding quite rapidly is the NSDC chapter program. NSDC chapters are local student-led communities specific to different regions in the US. Chapter members benefit from educational and career development resources. We provide them with mentors. We give them research and career opportunities. And we're in the process of growing our student chapters. So please email us if you know anybody, a student or faculty member who's interested in beginning or joining a chapter. So far, we're working with students from about 26 schools, 15 different states. One group has already been established at Temple, and we're in the process of opening other chapters at Rider, University of Houston, New York City College of Technology, and Rochester. And we may soon take the program international, because just this morning we received a request to begin a chapter with students based in Ghana, which is really interesting and fantastic. And I also want to mention just briefly the Career Central portal in the NSDC. This is for students who are interested in data science but aren't quite sure what steps they can take to advance their career. So here we point students to job search websites specifically for data science. We provide interview guidance, public speaking tips, things like that. And the signature events, which bring our community together are the Data Science Career Panel webinars. Every other month, we invite professionals to share their experiences in building and pursuing data science careers. These are virtual events that highlight the wide range of opportunities available to students in data science. Our next one is actually tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, so we hope you'll join us for that conversation, but you're also welcome to view our past panels on our YouTube channel. Quickly, I want to also mention the COVID Info Commons. This is our second project to highlight today. The KIC is an open website portal and community to facilitate knowledge sharing and collaboration across various COVID research efforts. It's funded by an NSF Rapid Award through the Convergence Accelerator. And the KIC project is led by the Northeast Hub in collaboration with our colleagues in the Midwest, South, and the West. The KIC portal now includes metadata and grant info for 990 NSF funded COVID awards. The primary function of the KIC is to provide a database of NSF PIs who are conducting research related to COVID-19. Using our resources, you can search for researchers interested in comparable areas of study, and our goal is to really act as a community space for collaborative engagement. We also provide links to open COVID data sets, educational resources, global organization guides to really broaden cooperation among STEM researchers in this field. And actually, I want to announce that earlier this summer, the Hub submitted a proposal to the NSF Convergence Accelerator to get additional funding for this project. And the proposal was recently approved for $2 million, which we're very excited about. This extension award will allow us to put additional awards into our database. Again, right now, we just have our 990 NSF awards, but we're going to expand to include NIH and CDC awards. So that's a really exciting development for us. And another major initiative within the COVID Info Commons is our monthly research webinar lightning talks and Q&A session. So during these events, we host different researchers who are open to sharing the results of their work with the broader public. We ask them to prepare brief lightning talks on their research and then open up that conversation to the community. A secondary goal of the program is to encourage the presenters themselves to find partners for future research collaborations. And since July 2020, we've hosted over 800 attendees with 82 different lightning talks. So we hope you'll join us for our next event, which will be on Monday, November 15th at noon Eastern, and I'll provide again registration information for these events in a minute. And as I close out my comments about the KIC, I want to note that we're also working on an exciting new initiative to make all of our content accessible to people from different communities. With the help of our students and our fantastic volunteers, we're now providing English transcripts and Spanish translations of all of our past webinars. The transcripts will then be provided in an accessible PDF format so that they can be read by screen readers and other devices used by individuals with auditory or visual disabilities. These transcripts will then be hosted on Columbia's Academic Commons site, where they'll be given a unique DOI and housed for posterity. So we're really excited to spearhead this new initiative and look to the project as a way to bring more people into the community on such an important scientific topic right now. And now that I've given you updates on both of these projects, I want to briefly plug that we're in the process of hiring additional staff to facilitate these growing and expanding programs. So please reach out if you or someone you know might be interested in joining the NSCC or the KIC. We want to meet the needs of our core community and think that new team members would help us do that. And I want to conclude by giving you some information on how we can be reached at the Hub. We're really focused on community and would love to get some additional contacts and feedback about our work. I'll provide all the links that I just mentioned in the chat as well. But thank you to everybody.
Great. Thank you very much, Lauren. That was very informative. Glad to see that the student data core is moving global and national at this point. We have a large number of students in the Midwest who I think would be interested in participating in that. One question that I had for you right away, the COVID Information Commons, we had a student data paper challenge last year, and I'm wondering if that is an activity that will continue under the supplement award going forward.
Yes, we're in the process of expanding and continuing to do those types of student challenges. I think actually one or two of the awardees was in your region in the Midwest. So we know that you guys are serious contenders for those types of awards. But yes, I think we're planning on doing a new one, and we'll announce a new launch for that in 2022.
Very good. So another opportunity for students to get directly engaged in research and very timely research as well. So thanks very much, Lauren, for that. We'll open it up at this point to questions for any of the presenters in this session. Feel free to put those in the chat, or we have a small enough group that you're welcome to unmute and ask that directly as well. I think looking down the list of attendees that we have on the line currently, I see a number of faculty at different institutions and different disciplines who hopefully are benefiting from the data science education discussions that we've had today. I think the curriculum development piece is really important. We'll hear more about that in later sessions today, but the South Hub led data science education group is a fantastic community that has developed in the past couple of years and really is a great way to get engaged with folks who are very deep in that process of developing programs at their institutions. And there's some really good best practice sharing that occurs through that call and through those working group subgroups as well. I guess a question that I have for Renata around those activities, you've developed quite a strong community there, and I'm wondering if you have any guidance for other folks who are interested in building a network of educators, either within their home institution or across partnerships. What's some advice that you may have for how to build a coherent group that is committed to that kind of activity?
Yeah, absolutely. Something that comes up quite a bit is how to gain support on campus for these types of initiatives if it isn't coming top down. Sometimes you get it top down around starting data science initiatives, but building that grassroots. And I think what we've seen is, and this is something we're going to look at, is trying to develop like a best practice guide. So I'm interested in how you guys did it for Sarah, for the Data for Good around program development. But one thing that I've seen is starting with at least a core of 2 to 3 committed faculty. And so if there's one on campus, at least going through and saying, okay, where would data science live, or where could it live, and getting at least 2 other faculty involved, because then you have a group that can go and talk to a dean or or someone higher in administration and say, this is something that we see a need that's across one faculty. It's more than, and it's, you're doing less of it because I think it's becoming more clear in the world that data science is important. So it also shows that there's a committed group on your campus. But for those who are already deep in the process, I think there's a lot of lessons learned around what types of flows, what things flow well, where do you go to look for different types of curriculum. And I think sub-working groups have really spoken to the idea of assessment. How do you assess? And what are some of the metrics of success, or even just internal progress tracking to see if you're actually hitting goals. And so that's something that we're really focused on, is trying to look at helping some of the groups in our working group to look at that more clearly, or just getting some ways and strategies that people are doing it across the country.
That sounds great. And I'm sure that sort of best practice and benchmarking data is helpful to administrators as well. And as they try to assess, do we need to add another program? Well, here's the data for why we think that's the case. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And everything's so similarly named. How to tell the difference. That's
right. All right. Other questions or comments for our panelists today? So one of the great things about the hubs is that we do tend to be very happy to archive and organize information. And so I think most of the presenters today talked about their repositories, whether it's YouTube archives or other materials that we are storing from these activities. And so I would encourage you to check those out, look for opportunities to engage with folks within our region or across the country as well, and build your network around any of the topics that we've talked about, whether it's data science education, cyber infrastructure, or other activities. So thank you all for attending today.